You go.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome to the Ladies of the Experience. I hope everyone's doing well. How are you doing, ladies?
Very good.
Yeah? How
Excellent.
was everyone's week?
Good.
Good. Okay. Just checking. Well, we're so happy to have you guys here with the ladies. As you can see, we have some changes. We are now the experience. And as you guys all know that, things are always growing, things are always expanding, and all of our core members of our podcast are going in bright, beautiful directions that will help us to make the positive impacts that made us start the experience to begin with. So we hope that you continue to grow with us. Like every seed planted into good ground, it has to blossom into something else. So as we grow, we're so happy that you're taking this journey with us. So that being said, today I'm going to pass the wheel over to Dr. Royal Rain.
All right. So I'm picking up the mic. So good evening. Good
Check
evening.
one, check two.
Hey, this is what I'm talking about.
You
Absolutely. So this evening, ladies and gents that are viewing, this evening we want to have a conversation with the ladies of the experience, talking about the challenges about mind, body, and soul, and what that looks like for each of us. I've recently, ladies, I started reading this book called It's called Get Over It. Right. It's called Get Over I Got It. Okay. And basically, the author, her name is Elaine Fluker. Elaine goes into the topic of being that superwoman or that superman. So tonight, what we're going to do is kind of pick apart the three parts of our being mind, our body, and our soul, and what that looks like, and have a conversation about the challenges that we as women, and if there are men out there that are watching, please definitely, we love comments, give us some feedback, ask us questions, so that we can respond to you. But let's kind of jump on into this conversation about what those challenges look like for each of those respective parts, and then what are we doing to help us go to the next level. Okay, because sometimes when we think about the whole superwoman syndrome, the I got it, we end up having a lasting impact on ourselves, which is not for the good. And I always say, if I don't have anything to pour into you, then I am truly an empty vessel. And so we want to make sure that we're pouring back into ourselves and rebuilding ourselves so we can keep on making that impact, right? So let's have a conversation. Let's start with the head. And I'm talking about this head, fellas. Y'all so nasty out there in that world. All right. So, so when we think about the challenges with our emotional and mental, what are some of the challenges, ladies, that you guys have faced, or maybe you're currently facing, if you choose to be transparent, that you're dealing with currently when we think about our emotional and our mental well-being?
I guess I'll start because I saw eyeballs moving, but no mouths moving. I think I have layers to mine, right?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So I think just always knowing how to separate logical and heart space, because for some reason they rarely want to be on the same page. So I think that is the other thing. Like I can feel what I'm feeling, but sometimes I have to pause, step back, and go, "Is this how I feel?" Because feelings don't have facts. You know what I mean? So just really have to do that. I think the other thing with being strong is, or with my mind, I'm always wondering when I get a break. When I get a break. When do I have a pause? When is it? I hate to say it like this, but
No,
no
say it.
offense to anyone out here, but when am I okay to be the blonde moment girl that just doesn't have to think about anything? That doesn't. I warned y'all it wasn't a nice thing to say. No, it's not the same. It's not the same for you. It's not the same. When do I have a moment to pause? I think that is the bad, and we've talked about it on the show before. Like, when is it okay not to be strong, right? And I think that's that um, challenge I have, to have mental stillness, and that's the last one. So we always hear about mental illness, but mental stillness, where your thoughts are calm, and you're like thinking clearly or things like that. So that for me is my challenge. It is a daily challenge that I have. So
Okay. All right. Um, miscommunication.
Yes, ma'am.
you
What's
knew
the
she was calling, aren't you?
yeah?
My
She
turn.
was, she was trying to look ready, so I was gonna go on and bop her on in there.
Well, it's like funny because I think that one thing I have to like say is that since 2020, right, there's been a lot of mind issues. For myself, it's like there is a thing about me. I like things to be consistent, right? And as soon as something is not consistent, that's when I start to have a little bit of anxiety, right? So for me, it's like when you think about kind of, like Erica was saying, what Black Pearl was saying about slowing your mind down and trying to find a place to be. And with me, it was like every time I turned around, it was something else, right? So it was like COVID, and my son's not gonna have a graduation, and he's not gonna have it. My mother and father, I can't see them on a regular basis because I'm scared I'm gonna get them sick. And we don't got there's no bread and there's no toilet paper. There was like so much stuff that was going on, and we were all going through it together. But then there was like, you add into it the isolation, right? So having to isolate yourself and actually have to like really be alone with yourself. That was one of those things where I had to like literally you like say, oh shoot, like I'm alone by myself. What now? Because now there's not all that other stuff that's external. One of the things that I did during that time, I stopped watching news. I stopped watching the news totally. Like I didn't know nothing about no variants. I didn't know what was going. I didn't know nothing. I didn't know what was going on. I took myself out of the space of what was currently going on because I could not deal with what was currently going on. So I said, okay, Disney Plus was my best friend. I'm telling no, for real, Disney, and it still is my best friend. Disney Plus is my best friend. I sat there and I watched every single Marvel movie. First, I watched them all in the way they came out. Then I watched them in order. Then I watched them again. That was just to keep my mind from actually dealing with what was really going on. That was escapism for me. That's how sometimes I deal with things. I say, you know what? I'm not doing that today. Let's do something else and let's think about something else. Now, here's the problem with that for me. There actually comes a time when you actually have to deal with reality. Right? And that's when you have to like fortify yourself before dealing with people. So sometimes I literally tell myself, all right, I'm gonna need you to like just chill out. That I tell myself that every day. Okay, Lynn, chill out. Just chill out. Sometimes in the car before I leave the car to go to work, I sit in the car for a good 5-10 minutes to pull it together, and then I can deal with the people. You know what I mean? Like then I can deal with the people. So that's how I've been doing with dealing with my mind.
Okay. All right. And Miss Pleasure Plug, what you dealing with?
Listen, okay, y'all. Despite what it looked like, your girl suffers from anxiety and depression. Okay. There are triggers that I've recently learned about that I'm working on. So in addition to seeing an actual therapist and speaking my problems out and discovering what other problems lie in there that I didn't know about. So in addition to that, that's very helpful. So I encourage anyone and everyone, because we have been through a lot, right? Miscommunication, like we've all, like, even pre-COVID, pre-pandemic, life was lifing. We just kept going. Right. And because of the pandemic, we had to slow down. Right. We had no other, like you were saying, there were so many external factors, like you had to go within, right? You're isolated in your own home. So, but anyway, so yes, so that was kind of my way of helping myself get out of that. And of course I do, and it's an everyday struggle. Like Black Pearl was saying, it's an everyday, you have to do the work every day internally. So I wake up, I affirm myself. So if I don't hear a compliment from nobody, I heard a compliment from myself.
Absolutely.
Let me start my day. So I may not be feeling my best, but you know what? Girl, you are beautiful. Okay, listen, fuck what they talking about, or whoever, however I'm feeling. Like, I talk about you. Like, it's not always like, today's gonna be a great day. It's not. That ain't always.
It doesn't matter what you tell yourself, right? It matters what you tell yourself.
In the mirror, like Issa, you know what I mean? Like, bitch, you know what I mean? It just depends on the day. I'll just say that. But that's what helps me get in that mental space of, I got this. Okay, I might be feeling this way. I'm going to deal with it. I'm going to let myself deal, because mentally I have to connect with it emotionally. Like, I'm a very emotional person. So if my mind is thinking it, like, let me just settle the thoughts in my mind by feeling it, getting it out of the way, and then moving on. So meditation, affirmations, and then I'll say having accountability partners. Like, usually it's business, but we cross over and talk about personal things because they intertwine. Like, you can't have one without the other usually, especially if you're an entrepreneur. Right. So checking in with my accountability partners, just making sure I'm mentally in a headspace where I can even work my business. So those are the things I consciously do on the daily. But again, you have its ups and downs, and I don't always feel like it. And, I still have other things going on. So I just, you have to make that conscious decision for yourself. So that's
So, and honestly, and I was taking notes, so I'm gonna circle back around because I got some questions for you ladies based off of that. So one thing like that has been discussed this evening is the fact that a lot of us went through, and I'm gonna piggyback off what you just said, Madam Pleasure Plug, which is a lot of us, we were already going through what we were going through pre-pandemic. Right. And I like how you said it. You said we were just getting through it, right? We were just getting by, doing what we do, and we press the gas and move forward. But then when the pandemic hit, it made us, all of us, it made us stop and reevaluate your whole entire being. Because like we had so many people, loved ones, friends, family, we had so many people passing away unexpectedly, right? Due to complications of COVID. And it really made us stop and evaluate ourselves and what our priorities are. And from that pandemic, a lot of women and men made the decision to, like, you know what, I'm gonna go live my best life. And that's when the boom of entrepreneurship happened too. Was, it was during that time, because we were evaluating ourselves and figuring out what's really important, because life is too short. And I think that was like the mantra at the time. Life is too short. YOLO, right? So I want to touch on a couple of things that you ladies mentioned. And let's talk about it. So first of all, miscommunication. You had mentioned escapism. And I wrote a question to present to you all, which is, at this point in time, what is your current escape? Because, and the reason why I'm asking this question is because for our emotional and mental well-being, sometimes we have good coping mechanisms and faulty mechanisms, right? And so we got to make sure that whatever it is that we're doing is actually going to be for our good and not to our detriment. And the first thing that popped in my head when you were talking miscommunication was Solange, Cranes in the Sky. That song, and she was like, I sexed it away, I drank it away, I retailed it away.
Yeah.
Like,
but it wasn't away.
away, right? Like, hearing those cranes, boom, 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 right? So let's kind of talk about that. Like, what is your current escape? And I'm not playing therapist. I know this about to be turned to a whole
therapy, and I'm okay with it. Yeah. Like, I'm here for it. Because sometimes what happens
is it therapy, or do sometimes we need to talk to someone?
No, but this is good. This is good because what happens is that it makes you actually do some self-evaluation, right? Yeah. So for me particularly, I've always been in a space where, and I think we've all been there before. And I feel as though that thing where you think it's just you going through something, right? Mm-hmm. So you really think that, this is just you. You're the only one that's feeling this way. You're the only one that's going through this. People don't understand you. Yeah, that too. Smoke something sounds good too, because that 420, yes, very much so. But anyway,
yeah.
What it really comes down to in reality is like, it was one of those things where I remember, I want to say 2021. So this is March 20. We are going through everything. And this was the first day of spring.
Yep.
I said, all right, I'm going to Home Depot and I'm going to redo my room. And that's literally what I did. I went to Home Depot, I bought some paint, and I decided to make my room my oasis, right? Mm-hmm. And don't get me wrong, it ain't oasis in right now, but what I did was I really said, okay, because at one point my room was like this butterscotch orange or whatever, and I said, okay, that's not where my head is at now. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get some muted, like a plum and a muted purple, and try to align my whatever's. And I went and got some what's those things called again? I went and got some candles and some oils and started diffusing things. Mm-hmm. Melatonin. I was doing everything I could to calm down the brain from fluttering all the time. Because I've never been diagnosed with anxiety, but I think that I probably do, and I suffer from some sort of anxiety. And actually, I think I have had like bouts of like really anxious moments where like I have to like pat myself, like how you pat a baby,
and
tactically
is a thing.
Tapping myself, because I was like having like there was a point where I couldn't drive because I was so anxious,
right?
So but it was a thing where I started to, one of the things that I'm learning is to actually identify those moments and say, wait a minute, what's that all about? As opposed to doing what I used to do, which was just push through it, and it's like I'm not a person. I think I'm self-aware in that way. But then sometimes some people remind me that maybe you're not as self-aware as you think, and it's like, oh, okay, well maybe I didn't think about it like that. So in that way, I guess that's the thing. It's like not trying to ignore it, but also knowing how much of it you can pay attention to. Because I don't want to be the person that's going to end up in the crazy house, because that's possible. That's very, very, very possible. I could go to the mental institution with some of the stuff that I'm dealing with, but I don't want to. So I know enough to say, okay, wait a minute. Let's all just calm down, So that's how I kind of deal with it. I dealt with it, just trying to. I don't even know how to say it, but trying to deal with it,
Yeah. No, you found an outlet. You found a creative way, which was through painting, to bring you back into your centeredness. So I get it. I got you. Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Ladies, either of you want to share? Because I gotta piggyback.
Are we only talking about COVID, or we're talking?
No, just in general. How do you? What is your escape?
I don't think my mind lets me escape. I'm just being real with you, because my personality is head on, like not in a violent. Now, do I have moments where I go, which is what I do.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm not ready to deal with it, so I'm gonna avoid this for a little bit.
Right,
But
right.
I know it's there. I give myself like a timeline. Like I'm like, all right. Like even if I'm like, for example, let's say I'm upset about something. You got 30 days. Cry it out, cuss, chomp on some candy, and on that 30th day, you're gonna get up, shake it off, and move on. Because the thing about it is it's not gone because I'm always thinking you got 20 days left. Are you doing this because like so it's just knowing I'll
Right.
address it head on. I think the other thing is I know I have experienced depression before, but I'm high functioning.
Mm-hmm.
So I will have a plethora of tasks to do. And I'm just task. But again, that's why I'm a little different. There's that voice that goes, when you gonna sit down? Because I'm holding on to this over here. So I think it's the way my mind is. I don't know the interaction. I am one of those people like, okay, enough of he said, she said, they said, we said. What do we do? So I'm like that even in my personality. Oh, that's the symptom. What's the root? So
Right.
I do things, but my mind is like, psst.
I got you.
Can I ask
So-
a question though?
Yes,
So,
absolutely.
in that same situation, I think that's I mean, it sounds like, because I know Pleasure Plug is going to say something and it all sounds like it's going to be all in the same route. What I'm starting to realize is that we as women have this thing where we gotta get up and we gotta keep pushing. Right?
I got it. I got
Well,
it.
maybe not
Keep
every
pushing.
woman, but yeah.
No, but it's not every woman, but it's a lot of women, and it's like that. It's that. Okay, this just happened, but I still got to keep on going.
Yeah, but that's that natural. Well, if I don't get up and do it, who's gonna do it?
That's
Right.
it.
Right.
Right.
And that is always my question. I'm literally like, I don't have. This is why I said the question is always, when do I get to pause? Because my mind is like, so you're gonna sit here and you're gonna boohoo and you're gonna cry. Who's gonna make sure this is paid? Who's gonna make sure this happens? You can't let the kids see you like this because now you're gonna have to take care of that. Like it's that. When does my mind get to say, "Woosah, let someone else handle it"?
And like he said,
When does
that's
that
smoke.
happen?
It's that smoke. It's that smoke right there. It's like when sometimes I think that's where the break comes in for me. Because when I'm
Right.
high, I don't know. I don't even know. I could care less. Like what happened, what happened, where it happened. I don't care.
Oh yeah, no, and that's what my 30. Okay, cry, boohoo, do what you gotta do. Get back to it. That's it.
Gotcha.
Get back to it.
What about you, Pleasure Plug?
So when I am able to identify that in myself, I will hike, bike, go on a walk, run. I'll do something physical,
Right.
because I know it's gonna. That's just my happy place. You know what I mean? Or either I'll work out or something, or either I'll take a bubble bath because I can sit in there for hours and just have some music playing, some wine to the side, okay, some candles lit. Like that is my happy space.
Right.
But when I don't identify it, then I lean on my tribe, and that it's a very, very small circle. It's a pack, actually. But when someone I love and cherishes me, when they realize, because my best friend had to tell me, like, girl, I feel like you kind of high functioning depression, right now. Like, I didn't realize it, usually I can, the modes because like you're just low or whatever.
Right.
But like I had been going and going and going, like task, like Pro was saying, and I just didn't realize it. But when you have people who love you and they see it, like I was like, damn girl, I'm glad you said something because like I was just gonna keep going, So yeah, so it's either when I do realize it, I'd like let me just take a walk. Let me just go out in nature because that suits me. I'm a Libra, so being in nature just helps calm my mind down. So yeah.
Okay.
That's a good point, Pleasure Plug.
And it is because
Very good point.
Because what I heard from you all and our viewer about even smoking, like to each his own, right? And bottom line is when we are in this, I'm gonna call it a funk. When we're in our blue funk and we're trying to get to that yellow funk, because that yellow funk is happy, right? So when we do that, basically, and we are hitting that neurotransmitter with serotonin, right?
Yeah.
That gets us going. So when you said, yeah, this is when I realize this is what's going on with me, I do take a walk, I do some form of exercise, or I take a bubble bath and just allow my mind to be clear for that moment. And so, Pearl, when you was talking about when do you have your pause, sweetheart, you have your pause when we have conversations. You have your pause when you have conversations with other loved ones or friends, right? Your pause can be however it may look. For Madam Pleasure Plug, her pause is when she gets in that tub. And she's literally unplugging.
Yes, I'm gonna be
literally.
Okay. And so in that moment, that's your pause, sweetie. And your pause doesn't have to be a long pause. Sometimes I think we always like, seriously, sometimes we always think about absolutely.
Absolutely. We're like, yeah.
Listen, that's a form of exercise, baby.
Calories.
Releases the same endorphins, baby.
Releasing the same thing. Absolutely. Yeah. So with that, absolutely. So with that being understood, like I want people to understand, like your pause can be a matter of a few seconds. Mm-hmm. You know, back in the day, they would always say when you feel like you're getting angry, especially those of us that are mothers up here, they would. If you feel yourself getting angry, you go somewhere and you count to 10, right? You remember that crap? And I call it crap because it was some crap. But
you're like, nope, didn't work. No,
but but the thing is, that was the pause. That was the comma, right? Mm-hmm. So your pause can be as short as 10 seconds or as long as hour, 2 hours, whatever your pause look like. You take time to decompress. And my last question for you all, and then we're going to move to the body, because I love my viewer, whoever our viewer is. Listen, you keep talking about the body, and we get ready to hit the body yada in a minute. But when we think about the mind and our emotional state, why do you think we're so afraid to address ourselves?
What do you mean address yourselves? So I can make sure I'm answering your question.
Yeah. So when you find yourself or feel yourself off kilter, right?
No.
And we all know what it looked like for ourselves individually. We know when we're not 1,000. We know when we ain't 100, right? In those moments, why do we, Pearl, why do we do this number right here? I'm not dealing with this right now.
My answer is
because some of us, when we put it back there, we don't go back.
Oh no, I go back, but I get what
you're saying.
I get what you're saying. For me, I can only speak for me. It is because there's I'm lacking the feeling or lacking the trust and the feeling that I'm safe to address that if I fall or if I put the because we're juggling balls, that I'm still safe and I'm still okay. And being transparent, I have not found that environment yet. Or if I have for a short time, I found it where it's like it's okay to address it because there's someone there. If you fall, and I'm just being real with you, I have not. If I do, it's temporary. Which is like, and I know I'm going a little left, not really left. I know we've talked about women being submissive and all that other stuff. There's a lack of safety. There's a lack of feeling home in an environment. And when I say home, I don't mean like the structure around your home, where you can say, I can address this because if I fall, if I drop the ball, I can get back up. Now, do I know I can get back? Of course. But it's that safety. That safety is lacking for me as a woman to be like, I could put it down. It's also because in life, something's always like, it's like be a mom, be a manager, be Black Pearl, be blah, blah, blah. Listen to the friend that's losing their ish. Listen to the, pay the bills. Where is that safety where someone is like, come here, give me this, give me that, right? Because that's what it is. Because when you're facing it, you're like, if I face it, at least again for me, if I face it 100%, and even though it's just, I tell you, I do it in short spurts. If I face it, I don't have any more hands to hold. I don't want to fight with it. I have no more hands to hold it. So that's, again, long story short, it's a safety thing for me. Feeling that I'm safe and there's something there that will support me if I drop the ball, fall on my face, whatever. That's me. So.
Okay. I mean, it's just interesting to me when hey, look, I'm gonna leave that right there, best friend. I'm gonna leave that right there. I ain't even. I got it. I received it though, but we're gonna leave that right there. Look, you see her, right? She said, but
I mean, that's not the point of this show.
It could be a point. It could be a point, but we're gonna keep going. But but I just wonder, like sometimes, like I say, sometimes I feel like we are afraid to confront our own ish because it makes us feel uncomfortable. It makes us feel anxious. And in some cases, hell, it might make you feel more depressed because of what you just said. Like, because I feel like there is no out, or there is no resolution, or there is no backup. Who's going to hold me up if I fall? So I get it. But I think. Go ahead, Love Bug. You want to say something?
Oh no, I was just amen in you, girl.
Okay. But yeah, I just feel like sometimes when we don't address ourselves in that moment when we're not our very best, we're doing ourselves. We are truly doing our own self a disservice, because all we're doing is literally holding on to shit.
Yes.
And anybody.
Constipation.
Yes, and anybody that knows
constipation.
Absolutely. And so if anybody is familiar with being constipated in any form or fashion, what begins to happen is you become bloated, right? You start swelling up, right?
And then uncomfortable.
Right. And then and every now and again you let out a little gas, and you be like, oh Lord, was that me? Yes, that was you. You are full of caca right now.
But it's true. It's so true.
So you got to be able to grab that Coca-Cola or that beer or whatever it is that's going to help you belch. Right. To help you belch and get that gas up off of you. And then make sure you drink some water. And water we're going to talk about that in the spiritual aspect of things. But your water can be whatever. I'm just saying, your water can be. Now. Yeah, your water can be whatever it is potentially, but that's still nurturing the spirit, right? But when you drink that water is helping that peristalsis in your gut get the moving. And guess what's going to happen? All that boop boop is going to come on out, and then you're going to be free at last. Praise God. We're going to move on to the body.
How we come out, I guess.
We're going to come on to the body. So let's talk about because women and our bodies, and again, I'm not trying to. This is a woman panel, right? So that's why I keep making that reference. But guys, men bodies too. Like
absolutely.
We have this thing, like, and especially now, I don't know where this trend. I still ain't figured out where this trend came from, where we feel like we have to be a particular look, a particular size.
Absolutely, yes.
So how do we deal with the challenges of body and body image? And let me take it a step further, okay? Because Madam Plug, she's a wellness and sexual coach. So when we're talking about body, I don't want to singularly make this conversation totally about body image, because there are other factors that we as women have to deal with when we go through our natural biological life changes. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm about to be 50 soon. Like literally, it's
And fine, girl, you fine. You fine.
it's around the corner. And so, being that I'm getting ready to hit that number, you know what I'm saying? Like I recognize I'm going through perimenopause. Like I'm going through it, and the night sweats. And sometimes, you know, we have sexual challenges in regards to those natural biological changes that happen in us, and men as well. The issue is with men, fellas, y'all don't want to talk about it because of the whole machismo thing, or the whole. I'm just saying, and so to tell somebody, to tell a fellow brother, look, you know, I'm having erectile dysfunction, or if it gets hard, like it won't stay hard. Like you guys don't want to have them conversations because you're afraid that somebody's gonna start cracking on you and joning on you and all that kind of stuff.
It's not a safe space,
and it's right. And so let's kind of talk about. Absolutely, it is an ego. It is about ego, but then. How do we?
He said eggs. He said your eggs gone.
Oh, damn! I can't see. Oh, thank you. Yes, as women, yes, our eggs are gone. But yes, yes, and your vision starts going too. But but for real, but for real though, you know, you're absolutely right, viewer. Like seriously, you know, as women, you know, our eggs begin to diminish to the point that we don't have it. We don't have to worry about that anymore. But then, like I say, for men, I think it is an ego trip. Like you don't want to have a conversation because, like you say, the safe zone. So let's kind of unpack the body and sexuality. What are the challenges?
Listen, listen, I'm at a stage, like when I say I was at a stage in my life where the men that are now, you know, age appropriate are at that stage where they are now older, right? Yeah. And sometimes the dick is not dicking anymore. Because of, you know, they didn't take care of themselves when they were younger. Mm-hmm. So one of the things is like if I'm talking to a gentleman or whatever the case may be, there's one question I always ask: how's your A1C?
Yes, honey.
Because your A1C will let you know. Will sometimes be the reason why it ain't doing what it's supposed to do, right?
Agreed.
And now that you want to settle down with me, who is still up in there like this. And we going in as womp womp. Now we got a problem. Like, see, and I'm not trying to say that that's all that it is, but I find it to be interesting how sometimes some men will decide to settle down when homeboy is not homeboying anymore. And it's like, well, I don't want to be your nurse. I don't want to be a nurse. I don't want to have to, you know, make sure you're taking the insulins and you know, and making sure you're taking care of all that stuff. I'm not saying I wouldn't, but the point of the matter is, I have issues as well, right? Like I'm like literally have issues as well. I'm literally sitting here, and if you notice, I've been like rubbing because my legs are not feeling like they want to be sitting in this chair right now. Because you know what I'm saying, like there's things, you know what I'm saying. And so when it comes to like body, I specifically remember I went to a party. I bought an outfit from like Fashion Nova or something, right? And I put the outfit on, and I was like, ooh. I'm gonna have to go up a size because this is not where it's at right now, right? And that was like the wake up call that okay, you got to get on the scale and see what's going on. Right. And during COVID, I was eating everything all the time. So I gained more weight than I've had ever been. I've never been that heavy. So I had to like come down and say, okay, Lynn, it's time to go. Come on, stop playing. Let's go. We gotta do this. And I came, you know, I lost a lot of weight. But at the same token, it was the number was getting lower. But for some strange reason, my brain still was like, yeah, you still have some work to do. Yeah. But that's because nowadays, listen, I'ma say it. we ain't all gonna say. I'm gonna say it. I remember when white girls didn't have no asses and they ain't want no asses, and now
Come on
they
now.
Right.
now they walking around here with bootylicious,
Right.
right? So
Right.
it's like the frame of mind, everything has changed. Like even buying, even I was talking to her earlier. I was like, listen, even going to buy lingerie, what is that little triangle supposed to do for this? I got my sisters are you know, they there.
They soul sisters.
They soul sisters.
It's not gonna work for me, right? So it's like it's that thing where you have to like be. I think that where I'm at right now, I have to just be comfortable in my body.
Yeah.
I can't, you know, body positivity. People say, oh, that's a bad thing. It's a bad thing. Oh, she's not healthy because listen, Linda. I feel as though if we're all happy in the body, whatever that body looks like, that is the most important thing ever. And that's where I'm at in terms of body.
Gotcha.
Let's just be happy with what we're, you know, not even so much what I'm looking at. Let's just be happy with, you know, where I'm at right now. You know?
I think I heard you talk about body dysmorphia a little bit, which is, you know, even though you're losing the weight, you're still like, I'm big or I need to do more.
That's right.
I think for me, I've always had that. And I grew up in not that I feel like I'm old, but I grew up in a time where you had to be skinny. Big butts when I was growing up meant that you were big, at least from the area I grew up.
Yes, I'm with you.
And so growing up, like, you know, like, for example, people who get older start getting chubbier. I was never the skinny girl. I was always the chubby girl, always. And so my challenges were I was never small enough for the small person, small body frame, and never big enough for the big body frame. I don't have no booty. I have none at all. Right? Like, you know, I make jokes that if having a booty was like having cancer, I'd be in hospice. You know, like I make right? But I'm just being real. And is it something that I have struggled with? Absolutely, because when I get around, especially I've moved down south, they're like, damn girl, you ain't got no, but I ain't got none. It ain't gonna come today, tomorrow. I done used every elastic band in the world. It's just not gonna happen. But I'll work it like it's, you know, so and I'm being real. Because when we get shirts and sweaters and the fashion, it's made now for people who have big behinds. Right? Okay. It ain't happening. And I'm not gonna hurt myself to do that. Also, I know men look for curves. You could get some from my boobs or my extra muscular legs. You ain't gonna get it nowhere else. So is it something that I struggle with? Yes. I also grew up with PCOS, right? Which for those of you who don't know, it's something that affects your stomach. We don't need to get into it.
Right.
We don't need to get. So is it things that I struggle with? Yes. But we're talking about now as a mature woman, I think I'm beautiful. I really do. I look at myself in the mirror and I'm like, this part of you works. This part of you works. No one could tell me how old I am. You know, like those, I try not to be committed to a trend of what my body should look like. I once told a male friend, I said, if we are doing what we're doing and all you could think about is my stomach and my butt, I'm doing something wrong.
Amen.
Listen, like a mechanic, you better lift that thing up like a mechanic. I'm playing. Lift it up. Lift it up.
I'm just saying because
she said, lift the pooper. Lift the pooper up.
Lift it up.
I'm just so much more than the vessel that carries me.
Right.
That's the end. But it took time to get there. It took time to get there. So, but
I got you. What about you? What about you, Miss Madam Plug?
Okay, so all right. So first of all, y'all know the body is your temple. Okay,
absolutely.
So what I tend to do is focus more so on my levels, meaning like cholesterol. I need to make sure staying ahead of this cancer that runs in my family from both sides.
Oh,
I need to
okay.
make sure I'm staying ahead of diabetes. I don't want no heart issues. I need to make sure my liver's functioning properly. So when I got into working out and doing these preventative methods, like making sure I go to the doctor every year, like use them benefits, I plan. We don't go to the doctor enough. You got to take care of yourself.
Facto.
So, and it starts with you. Like Ray was saying, it starts with you. You have to, and it's not always easy. Like I've been on this journey for years. Okay, I've always been top heavy. So I never really, and I was, I ain't like my shape. So I was like, forget it. I'm not in this to like be build up or nothing like that. But I see what I can do. And it's like, all right, well, if I do more of this will happen. You know what I'm saying? So I started to get more into, okay, well, I like the way this is shaping up. So let's do more of that. Like,
yeah.
Like along the way. It wasn't like, okay, I'm about to be squatting my life away. I mean, because I still got no butt.
You got to preserve the knees too, girl.
I have to squat because I bike and it takes a lot of quad.
It does.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just the things that I'm doing, like that just so happen to be like, oh, okay, well, the body just comes along with it. Right. But I'm really trying to stay ahead of, because I have like a heart murmur. So I'm trying to stay ahead of that. And then like I have a issue breathing right. So yoga helps me with the breath work. So I'm very intentional in things that I like. I'm not just doing it for fun because it but it ain't always fun. But this stuff is really hard work. But so I do that to take care of myself, because I know that, like I said, the more knowledge and like information you get about where you are, which is why it's so important to visit the doctor and, at least listen to them in terms of where you are. Now, remedies, that's on you, because I'm an all natural girl. If you tell me to take something, I'm gonna go look for the all natural. What can I do to help prevent this, or but that's just me. That's the journey I'm on. But yeah, I would just say, I heard miscommunication say something about a scale. Girl, throw that scale out. Leave them numbers alone, because what's important is your body mass index, right? You want to make sure because I didn't like the last number I saw on the scale either, right? But I also know I've been doing more strength training. So I'm building muscle. I could be losing fat, you know what I mean? Unless I actually look at those numbers, how would I know? So leave the scale
But
alone.
it's a misconception that because you're skinnier or your numbers are lower, that you're more healthy. That's a misconception.
That's true too. And then people compare themselves to other people, and it's like, oh well, we weigh the same, but like my body
proportion different, right?
Yeah, exactly. So my thing is just take the same concept as you would with your mind. It starts with you. Your body starts with you. Your vessel is your vessel. You're not going to be like the next person. So do what you've got to do for you.
Yeah.
And sometimes too much exercise or too much yoga, too much whatever might not be what works for you.
Well, everything has to be in moderation in general. Like no matter what it is, whether it be whatever it is. I mean, like you can work out like something. I know somebody who works out 7 days a week. 7 days a week.
Wow.
At that age, at his age, 7 days a week is it's like wow, okay, great, but your knees hurt all the time. You're always complaining that your knees hurt.
I told you I got to preserve those knees now.
So it's like okay, well yeah, no, don't get me wrong. Look, he looks phenomenal. He looks great. Everything looks really nice. But then every once in a while, it's like, yo, my knee, because you work out all the time.
Yeah, but I think
so. Anything I think no matter what it is, everything needs to be in moderation.
I think the other thing too is there's a lot of stigma around women, right?
Yeah. Go and say it.
I'm just being real. Men are a little different. You'd be like, oh, I got some muscle. Oh, look at him. He's big. It's wintertime. I got some. With a woman, there are all these standards, whether we think it or not, that we have to live by. And I think the worst part is women body shame other women. Like, sister, I'm going through, they looking for us to be like, plop, 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 all over. Right. And here you are body shaming me. I'm 3 kids deep, boo. I'm 3 kids deep.
Well, how about no kids deep and still just don't listen?
Yeah, or I was gonna say that, or I have hormonal issues. I have all this other stuff. I think that we have, and the thing is, it's in our face. You turn all on the time. TV, you turn on music videos, and now we have social media. Now, am I trying to live up to that standard? No, but it's the reality. It's the reality of what it is.
Listen, like, BBLs. I saw there was a post someone left on somewhere where there was a plane from Miami where all the girls
I saw that.
literally they weren't sitting because everybody had gotten a BBL, and you can't sit when you get a BBL because you got, you just had surgery on that part of your body, and they all turned around.
They did.
Like sitting. It's just really.
They were backwards.
Really
their butt
backwards.
was. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sitting like
saw that.
kneeling on the seat.
Yep.
Because they can't sit. There are women out there that just got their BBLs. You know what a BBL is? One of the most dangerous.
Absolutely, it is.
And you literally have to wear a faja or like compression garments for basically for your life. Yep. Because all they did was just move the fat. They just moved it, and they didn't it is one of the most dangerous. And the funny thing about it is that the BBL, this is what kills people. This is what kills people, man. And
thank you.
I'm sorry, like I said, if he can't listen, just lift it up. It's gonna be all right. Just lift it up.
Yeah,
I'm not doing
the thing about it is all the facts that you're giving, let's be real, are just that. No one's listening to you.
No, they're not.
What I'm saying to you is the pressure on some women are beyond. They'll just take their chances. If and I get what the viewer said, that men don't like it. Somebody like it because they ain't running out there to get it for their sister to say, girl, your booty big.
Okay, obviously,
they see the reaction that men have to a big booty or whatever. What I'm saying to you though is it's just like anything else. It's not always like I feel the majority of men don't care about BBLs, but those are not the ones that are speaking the loudest.
Right.
Yeah. Those are not the ones. It's just like when people say that girl is crazy. Not every woman's crazy, but the ones that are the ones that are upfront and louder. So if women know this is dangerous, it could hurt me, it could do all this stuff. I haven't taken my behind to the doctor in a long time, but I'll go pay money to get a BBL. What is that telling you? That it's not about what your body looks like. And I'm gonna slide right into the next one. And it's not what's in your mind. It's how you see yourself and your soul. What are you trying to connect your worth to?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I love
listen,
segue.
Thank
that
you,
was a great segue.
Listen, the good segue, but you know what the funny thing about that is? That whole thing about that BBL, we're finally gotten to a point where the generation that is doing this, I need to know how this 70-year-old person is gonna look like when they have because I need to know. Right now we don't know what's about to happen. You know what I mean?
I know a 52-year-old who went to get a BBL.
No, what I'm saying is that I'm not saying that they got it down. They got it and they 52. I'm talking about you got it when you were 27. Because I know girls women
at 52 you get a BBL and you going through the changes. What about that?
What I'm saying is we don't know what it's going to look like in 10 years. We don't know what's going to
look like in 2.
Because I don't know anybody who's had a BBL for 10 years, who's 10 years in after having a BBL.
Walking around here look like a oompa loompa.
Oh,
all right.
What have you done to before the BBL? What did you do? Like, was it just not working? You know what I mean? Like,
you're still not exercising.
Like, did you try? Did you lift a weight? Like, you can do 5-pounders,
right?
On a commercial break, sis. Like,
no, they're not doing that because it's instant gratification. That's the kind
there
of
you go.
Instant gratification.
I get my tonsils taken out. You talk about
they literally, and I just heard this. Some people give up on what they want for what they can get right now.
That's it.
You want to be healthier, you want to look better, but you're not dedicating yourself to making that happen. You just
so I'm gonna squat till I
get you're gonna be diabetic with a big booty.
Right.
Boom.
Right.
And a small waist, but then you can't
and jiggly legs.
Right. Father God, a hot mess. So
all right, next segment. I'm sorry, sweetheart.
No, Love Bug, you're good. So we talked about the mind, we talked about the body, and I love your segue into the spirit or the soul. And earlier I was talking about the fact of, that water to help flush out those toxins in our system, right? I was explicitly speaking of caca, but just to say,
okay.
But right now, because, and I don't know about you guys, but like I have seen a trend right now where a lot of people are not engaging in any form of religion, right?
Mhm.
And those that are engaged in religion, a lot of us don't go back. We haven't gone back into the building yet. And I can attest, I went for the first time a few weeks ago, but for the most part, I watch it online. Is that being trifling? To me, and I'm speaking to myself, yes, some days I really am being trifling because I could get up and get dressed and go into the house. I really could. But um, but how are we addressing our spiritual and soul well-being right now? Because I'm a firm believer that if you're not rooted in something, whatever that is, if you're not rooted in something, then when life happens and your anxiety kicks in or your depression kicks in, and I also have depression. I was diagnosed with having a depressive disorder. That's just, which is why I use comedic humor all the time, because I have y'all always laughing at me, and it's just innate. It's not even a forced thing. It's part of me.
Yeah.
But what are we doing right now? Because there's a lot of people that's really going through a lot, but because, in my opinion, they're not rooted in something, life falls apart. And there's no rebound. How do we address that? I mean, or do you all even see that as a challenge right now?
For me, that is the most important part of me, is my soul. Just being real with you. Because I've seen beautiful people, beautiful women, since we're talking about women,
Yeah.
be so visually stimulating. And when they walk into the room, their energy is toxic. Their spirit is to be desired. I've seen women who are beautiful, who build their self-worth and their ability to lock down relationships on their vagina. But when you look at their face, they're ugly. Their energy.
Their
I
energy is ugly. Yeah.
literally am rooted in two things. Of course, God, the spirituality of God. And I know people, you say spirituality doesn't mean God, but the spirituality of God, there are different avenues. I grew up a little different, but I know there is a God. But I want my soul to speak louder than anything else. I somewhat pride myself in being the woman that walks into a room and demands attention, not because her booty big, not because she's wearing a certain type of outfit, but that energy draws you in. And the reason why I say that is because not what I'm rooted in, but what's rooted in me. Right.
When people can see your light.
Yes, when people can see that.
See that
I say that because when people go, "Oh my gosh, you're always so happy." I have a coworker who's like, "I thought you were fake." I was like, "You've been working with me for 10 years." Right? And she goes, "And you've been this type of happy for 10 years." And I said, "You know why? That's joy." I invest in my joy, because you are not going to remember what outfit I had on or that I had big boobs out, whatever, but you're going to remember how I make you feel. And there is not one person who has interacted with me that can't say that.
Right.
That can't say that. Even miscommunication. There's times where she's like, "Girl, you need to do blah, blah, blah." And I'm like, "No, I'm not going to do that."
Well, I always choose violence anyway. So, wait,
and it's not that I can't, because miscommunication also, no, I get down with the get down.
But you choose
I get
not
down
to.
with the get down. But what I'm saying to you is, I have come to a point in my life, and I've been there for a while. What is my legacy? It's not money. It's not even on my children, even though they're a part of it. It is what is rooted in me and what I'm rooted in. When I leave this earth, I want people to be at my funeral like, "Yo, I'd always be laughing at Black Pearl." Like, I want that, because that's my seed. So I'm going to be honest with you. growing up, I couldn't rely on the fly body and fly face. And I just told my whole age using the word fly body and face. I couldn't rely on that. I couldn't rely on the mind part all the time because I grew up in a household with immigrant parents who you have to think this way. You have to, right? But when I rooted myself in God and realized what's inside pours outside, you can't take that from me. You could say what, and I literally feel like that. Like people like, oh, I don't like her. Yeah, my spirit irritates your spirit. Moving on.
Right.
I'm good. I don't focus on that. This person doesn't want to be with me. Oh my God, my heart is broken. But guess what? Maybe I'm just too good for you. Moving on. Like that. None of that changes because I'm eating an extra cheeseburger. Yeah. None of that changes because we're in COVID. None of that. You know, I listened to all of you say that COVID was hard for you. COVID was one of the best years.
No, it was the best for me too.
Relationship.
Wow.
Oh my God, I had stronger relationships. I went to work. I wasn't stuck in the house. I understood the spirit of gratitude. Seriously, like literally people fell off like trees. I was like, oh, you're not good. And yet other people just, it was like, you know, so that's because I was already rooted in all that stuff, that fear that was coming from the news couldn't do it to me. So that's, I'm sorry, I know I went off on a tangent.
No, you're fine. You're good.
That's good.
It's Mr. Chocolate.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I got you. No, you're fine. And I know that Miss Pleasure Plug, she does a lot of meditating. So I need to be doing a whole lot of stuff. I just don't. I don't. And then I get mad at myself because I'm like, why don't you? Because I'll call myself out on my own crap. And I'll be like, you need to go to the gym. Yeah, you do, but you ain't.
I told you, let's go for a walk too, girl.
Yeah, right. I've been invited to go out on walks. Yeah, let's not. You want to go eat? Hell yeah, let's go eat. So
but I'm glad you said that because I was just telling somebody the other day, like it's easy to choose not to do it, just as easy as it is to do it. Like, you see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
That's the thing.
But meditation is really good in order to get you, and some people go into like true deep meditation, like they study meditation. So when they are being, I think the proper term is elevated. Am I?
I think so. Yeah, I ain't been there yet, but
yeah, when they go like super deep, those that really are into meditation and they begin to elevate, meaning that their mind, body, spirit, like everything is free and they're in this upper state. Like I can only imagine how dope that could potentially be. Like euphoric. But I wanted Madam Pleasure Pearl to share with us, you know, about her experiences using meditation. And I know she uses sage. Come on through, sis. Tell us about this spiritual cleansing and stuff.
Okay, so first of all,
yes,
I grew up in the church. Let me just, because we're gonna talk about religion, then I'm gonna switch it to spirituality.
That's cool. Yep, that's cool.
I had to unlearn some things. Okay, so I was brought up in the church, Kojic, you know, all that. All right, yes, sung in the choir, all that. Don't get me wrong, I still, you know where I came from and everything, but there are some things that I individually just decided to relearn. Because I didn't want it to be like, oh, it's a religion, because religion's just made up. It's just something they gave us. It's something they gave us, right? But the spirituality is within. So that's what, like Pearl was saying, just, tapping into God and finding God. So my journey has been finding the God within myself and letting that radiate, letting that speak for me, walk into the room before I do, and things of that nature. So I'm leaning more into that. So when I meditate, and I do pray, right? But me meditating is when I listen for the answer. And it could be, and it's not always like, eat, pray, love, like that long. I'm not in the, you know what I mean? Like I'm not. Now I do have a little sacred space and things of that nature for myself to go in, and that's just to make sure it's a welcoming environment to all good things, right? I do sage my home, but it's just to get out all the negative things. It's just
That's
like
right.
you could like rebuke some things or pray over something. It's the
Yeah.
same power. It's the same thing, right?
Right.
But yeah, so I do sage, and I notice a difference for me in my life. I've recently gotten into crystals. My yoga
Yeah.
instructor, she does crystals and healing and Reiki's
Mhm.
and all that.
Yeah.
Reiki is really good.
It
Reiki
is.
is really
It's
good.
clearing, just like
Really
if
good.
you have trauma and you're dealing with, and you're
Oh,
like
it's
trying to get it off. You know what I mean?
yeah. Like
It's-
some people do chakra balancing, but I think Reiki is much better.
Yeah, and to me, I started doing the chakra balancing, like, and yoga helps me with that too, because it's a whole spiritual practice. It's not,
Process. Mhm.
oh, I'm doing this for my body, because I mean, yeah, that's important too, but yoga is really spiritual.
It is.
Mhm.
And you really have to dig deep within. Like the breath work is serious. And the more you do that, the deeper you do that, the more you kind of go, like you were saying, like in and elevate.
Elevate.
I haven't gotten there yet, but I'm working on it. But yeah, so I like to offer that as because I have a life coach. So, and she kind of got me into saging and like water rituals, like taking a shower and thinking about all the bad
Oh yeah, you
stuff
can
that happened to
manifest
me.
in the shower now.
Let it go down the drain, right? When I get
Right.
out, let it go. So things of that nature is just and really believing in it, because
Mhm.
it's really in whatever you believe in. That's what happens. That's what
Right.
manifests in your life. So
Right.
if you're putting that same energy into something you really believe in for yourself and it's for the good, then yeah, so it works for me. So
Got you. What about you, Miss Communication?
Yeah, y'all sound like y'all speaking Spanish and stuff. So it's like, I listen, I love all of this stuff, and it sounds so like it sounds, very it sounds great, right? I can honestly tell you I don't do none of that stuff. But I might think about doing some of that stuff, but I don't do none of that stuff. Like I just yeah, no, we don't yeah, over
She
here.
said, "Oh yeah, no."
Now,
I'm sorry.
now let's be clear. I am not religious, right?
Okay.
My mother is a Jehovah's Witness, so there was a
Okay.
different type of thing going on over
It
there.
is.
And as soon as I got old enough to be like, yeah, I'm not going no more, I stopped going. Now,
Got it.
it does not mean that I do not believe in a higher power, because obviously that there's no way in the world we could be here without a higher power. At least that's the way I feel about it, right?
Uh-huh.
So as far as religious, I'm not. Spiritual, in terms of believing in there's a higher power, absolutely. I do know people who are like, very, very into like, the soul and all of those things and the maintenance of the soul.
Yeah.
I can honestly tell you that is something that I struggle with in general, because I'm a person that likes to put, okay, I push things aside or whatever the case may be. And that might be the reason why. Like we said, manifesting your life, that sounds so good. And I'm here for the manifestations, and I'm here for the affirmations, and I'm here for the Reikis and the Rukis and the the
Really?
chakras and all of them things there. I want to do all of them things there, right?
Mhm.
It's just that at this point, I have to figure out, like, I feel as though, like anything I do, I have to decide to do it and then just do it, right? That's how I am in general.
Can I be honest with you?
What's up?
You're already manifesting. It's just not what you're manifesting. What's inside that you're pushing aside anyway.
Yeah, I know. But see, the thing
So
about it is
you
that,
might as well grab it.
yes, I got what I'm trying to say is that now it's like it's a manifestation of happiness, right?
Mm.
That is that's the next level. Like everybody wants to be happy, regardless of who you are.
Right.
No one walks around and says, you know what, I want to be miserable.
Absolutely.
Everybody wants, no, even if you are miserable, people don't, they don't, nobody, everybody
Right.
wants to be happy.
Right.
And not everybody knows what path to take to get to that happiness, right?
Right.
So sometimes you have to sit still and really and truly figure out what it is that's going to make you happy. Now, this is one thing I've been doing for a while, is that I have, I don't know if everybody knows, but your mirror in your room,
Yeah.
if you take a dry erase marker, you can write on your mirror.
Absolutely.
I
There's
write
emotions out
on
there.
my mirror all the time, and that is what what do I want? Something I'll hear something, I'm like, wow, and I'll write it down so I won't forget it, right? So that when I wake up in the morning, I see it above my mirror. There's this thing that says always fall. Remember to fall asleep with a dream and wake up with a purpose. The thing behind me,
Nice.
live the life you love. Like that was one of those things that when I decided to do my room over, going back to that was one of the things I wanted to definitely surround myself with things that would give me that. I have a dream catcher. Like there's those things. So as much as I'm not doing, I have Pinterest boards with a lot of that stuff on there. I don't know I don't know I'm gonna use them, but I put it down there for maybe later. But I know that when you really and truly try to manifest happiness in your life, at least that's the first step. Starting there, if we're saying that you're there and you're doing it, I am standing at the beginning, at the beginning.
Yeah.
And at some point I will start to travel in that journey. I just got to get to a point where that journey is where I want to be. So that's coming.
I'm gonna add to your thing and let Royal take the rest. The biggest mistake that we make as humans is believing we have time. You keep believing you have time. That's what it is. Not one person on this earth is promised, even as we log off this thing that you're gonna have, but you're waiting for when it's right or when this time.
I mean,
there are people who had a plan to start dieting. I'm just saying.
This is why I love her and I don't love her at the same time. That's why I love her, but I don't like her all the time. You're absolutely right. I'm not saying you wrong. I'm not saying I'm gonna get off.
But you like, shut up. Love you. Bye.
Love you.
Basically.
Hello.
Right. No, but I'm glad you said it because actually that gives listen, I'm quite sure there's a bunch of people who are watching us who are gonna watch us back or whatever the case may be and take something from it. And at the end of the day, not everybody's gonna be like me and not everybody's gonna be like Pleasure Plug. So at least you find something, we might, be in the middle, but at least you find something to identify with and say to yourself, okay, you're not the only person that's going through this journey.
Absolutely.
But life is definitely a journey, not a destination, right? So
we're
still in it.
Get it. Go ahead, Royal.
No, so I guess because we've been talking for a minute, and that's cool because that just means we were having some good vibes going on. But I just want to I guess allow everybody to just share and I love what you just said, Pearl, a few moments ago, as a closing point, unless you want to add to that, which is there is no time. You have to go ahead and react and respond to whatever it is that your purpose is or that your goal is. Do it today, in this very moment. Like start on it like now, and put away excuses. Did that capture what you said?
Yeah, I think it's also yes. I think I also want you not have to put that period in. I think it's also reminding everyone who's watching or will watch that you are enough. You're enough to invest in. You're enough. You are seen. You are heard. But we can't be mad when other people don't hear us and see us when we don't even do it for ourselves. Right? We live in a world where everyone has something negative to say about us. Right? We hear voices of negativity all the time. She's not good enough. He doesn't look the way I want him to look. Oh, she's ugly. He's body's too big. But don't let one of those negative voices be your own voice. Just don't do it. You could let everyone else say it. Don't let your voice be that voice that tells you what you're not, that you can't, and you're not enough. I think that's and once you do that, you'll start choosing those things that you need to invest in you. You're the only, this body, this mind, this soul is the only thing that's with you from day 0 to the last day. So that's all. Sorry.
Miscommunication or misplug? Any thoughts y'all want to share
She
as
said,
we
she
close
said
out?
that.
You're
I'm
right.
She said that. You know what I
Come
mean?
on.
At the end of the day, period.
Right. But I will add, guys, I like this conversation. This is really dope. I would just encourage everyone to think of yourself as a boundless being
Yes.
and experiencing life in the human body. Like, if you
Yes.
think of yourself like that, there are no limits, right? So you start your day off with yourself, and the most important conversation you ever have is with you. I don't care if you've been married 50 years.
Right,
I
right.
don't care
Yeah.
if you're this close to your mom and daddy. The most important conversation you ever have is with yourself. So be
Mhm.
kind to yourself. Be gentle with and I'm talking to you.
Yes.
I have a problem doing that too. But be kind to yourself. Forgive yourself. Oh, I didn't get this done. Girl, if you live to get to tomorrow, you might do it tomorrow. You know what I mean? Don't
Yes.
pressures off, baby. You are a boundless being living life as a human in this body, but it's the experience that you want and that you make it.
Mhm.
That was good.
That was. I don't have nothing to say. Y'all done said it.
Period. Y'all doing it.
Yeah,
Period.
seriously.
We want to thank you all for joining the ladies of the experience tonight. I know we went a little over, but it's because this was such an important conversation, and we hope that you enjoyed it also. Because we did not come on last week on Sunday, we will come on again on the 26th, which is next Sunday, and we will be talking about loyalty and all things loyal. So don't miss us. And we look forward to sharing the experience with you again. You guys have a wonderful evening.
Nice.